It's 200,000 people that have been gathered recently. Over a million population here, so 200,000, it's a lot. I think we're in a really sad situation right now because when Georgia became an independent state in 1991, I was 10. And I have a feeling that me and this country, we grew up together. We really contributed to the creation of this state by putting at least one brick to build it up. That's why maybe we have this kind of feeling of ownership and responsibility towards this country, towards Georgia. And now it feels like as if somebody's ripping it off from us, somebody's taking it away without asking. Over a month ago, the Georgian government introduced a law, initiated a law on foreign agents, as they call it, the law on the transparency of foreign influence, which was also initiated last year in March, but which caused huge demonstrations. So the government had to take this law back. But now they reinitiated it, and we in the Georgian society, so to say, we see it as a clear sign of turning towards Russia-like politics. And we also witness the rhetoric of the government, which is very clearly anti-Western, anti-EU, anti-democratic, and that concerns us a lot. So since over a month, every night, every day, there are huge demonstrations in Tbilisi protesting this law. Now there is still a procedure to go. The president of Georgia will veto the law in probably a couple of weeks, and then the parliament will have to overweight the law. So that will take some time. But so it's not finally passed. But basically, it will pass for sure. We are, is I think, in a very difficult situation right now. The only hope that I personally have is the elections that are coming in October. But if the law becomes active, that means that the results of the elections will also be not reliable. I think the popularity of the Georgian Dream Party, that is the leading party right now, has decreased. However, this is the political party that is backed by the most rich man in this country, that's whose property is almost, whose kind of wealth is almost one third of the whole country. So all the finances and resources, government resources, private resources of this rich man Vidin Ivanishvili are on the side of the current Georgian Dream Party, of the current governing party. And there is the opposition has been quite weak since some years. It's very scattered. It's small political parties. So the best case scenario would be for the opposition to come together, together with the current president of Georgia, maybe, who's very eloquent and explicit about in the criticism of the current government policy, and to run for the elections together. But I think with the current government, with its policy and rhetorics it's doing right now, I see a very high chance that the government cannot be trusted during elections and they might want to forge it. Another fear is that the situation in the country will get much more intense than it is right now. Right now, it's quite peaceful on the one hand. On the other hand, what the government is doing, they are arresting people, they are beating the protesters up. They are, they've made this crazy thing. They're calling people over the phone and swearing at them and threatening them with their children. So it's a lot of threats. And also, what they have done is they've kind of raided the houses. And they've put posters on the front doors of the people saying "enemy of the state." And other insulting words with the portrait of the person put in an insulting statement. So they've been doing the government has been very aggressive, and the people hired by the government. So another fear apart from the elections is that the situation might get even more intense here. I hope it will not get violent, but it's quite on the verge. The Georgian government has been misbehaving for quite some time, to put it mildly. The Georgian Ministry of Culture started centralizing all cultural institutions some 2 3 years ago. It has become the whole Ministry of Culture, and the institutions that are supposed to be independent public institutions have been closed down to all independent cultural actors in Georgia. And Georgia National Film Center was also kind of reformed, if I can call it so. And the person who's now the director of the Georgia National Film Center, he's also deputy minister of culture. And this institution has become inaccessible to independent filmmakers. Well, the national funding in Georgia for film has always been little. It was very little, but it was usually one of the first fundings for films, so it was always helpful. But right now we don't have any of that. We don't have any public funding for films at all. I mean, when Taming the Garden came out in internationally, and then when we also want to release it in Georgia, that's when the kind of a pressure started to be clear from the side of the ministry. We were not able to release the film Taming the Garden in cinemas in Georgia. Then we rented a screen of the Georgian Film Academy, and they too removed the film from the screen, saying that it's too political, that the film causes diversity of opinions. So I was not able to show Taming the Garden on a big screen. And that's when the kind of it was one of the first cases of censorship. And then later on, like last year, for example, the person who's currently the prime minister, he said that Taming the Garden is a shameful film and such films should not be made, and the right films should be made. And then later, the Minister of Culture also said that Taming the Garden is a lie. And basically, all this opposition or criticism, so to say, of the film comes from the fact that the film touches upon the hobby of the richest man of the country, Bidzina Ivanishvili, the person I mentioned, and the person who stands, who is the main ruler of the country, a shadow ruler of the country. They consider that films are right if they are not critical of the government, if they're not critical of the church, if the films don't make propaganda, as they call it, of LGBTQ lifestyle, and if they're not critical of big government projects, and of Bidzina Ivanishvili, our oligarch as well. Those would be the right films for them. I think if things don't get better, there will be a lot of people leaving this country. I hope this will not happen though, and I have a huge hope in thousands and tens of thousands of people that are out in the streets every night, not being tired of asking for a better future, demanding for a better future.